acting up a little bit. So if I seem a little nasal, please bear with me. So I'm hoping that everything is good. Oh man, welcome to another episode. And everything is great here. It is, what's today? Today is Tuesday, the 13th. And tonight I want to talk about the power of quality communication. And I know it's not something that we don't know, but communication is supposed to be like breathing or water. And I'm going to tell you how communication can be either one. And then, believe it or not, I'm going to take you to church for a little bit. Now, if y'all don't know, y'all know that I'm a man of faith. But if you actually look at the way the Bible is structured, now I'm not going to sit here and try to convert you, not my style. There are so many verses that directly connect to communication. And I believe that's because all of the faiths want people to be able to converse with each other. It's how we help each other. It's how we protect each other. It's how we exchange ideas, just everything. Now, as you know, I am a counselor. And if I was not able to convey my thoughts as well as listen, I would not be able to help anybody. And I use what's called a person-centered focus. I use person-centered therapy. That simply means you are the expert in your life. My job is to help you see that, reshape that, restore that, reframe, help you to be that expert to a much higher degree than where you are before you come to me. Sounds simple, but it's not, because there's a lot of things that can prevent us from being the expert of our own lives. But nobody knows you better than you. My job is to get you to share with me and then help to find a fix. And again, excuse me, my nose is a little itchy, like my allergies. It's been, I don't know what's going on today. Spring. Normally my allergies don't act up until the summertime. Excuse me, again, I'm sorry. And so when I say that communication should be like breathing, should be like water, well, let's start with the breathing, right? And let me just fix this here. Okay. There we go. All right. Let me make sure I got everything going here. All right. And what I mean by breathing is that when a person is talking out, that is basically them exhaling. When a person is now receiving what is being said, that is them inhaling. Now, if the conversation is one-sided and the person who is exhaling doesn't inhale, they die. If the person who is taking all this in because it's one-sided and they inhale but never exhale, they die. So quality communication is like breathing. You go back and forth. You breathe out, they breathe in, they breathe out, you breathe in. And if you do this correctly and you become in sync, everything is great. And great communication is just like great breathing. Now, water, how is communication like water? I'll tell you. Water has to be free flowing. It has to be allowed to go back and forth. But water will move where it goes. But if you block water, if you dam up water, it builds up pressure and builds up pressure. The same as communication. If one person in a relationship, if one person in a friendship, if one person is not allowed to share, then those feelings build up and build up and build up. And then all of a sudden, like with a dam, if the dam bursts, the whole area is flooded. Whole town, whole area. Now you have damage, now you have carnage, and now you have death. So as you see, just like with breathing, if the communication is blocked, if the communication is not allowed to go where it should go, you are risking the death of your relationship, the death of a friendship, and possibly even death itself. Because again, how you speak to some people could create a problem. Let me tell you a little story before I get into these 4 Bible verses. JB, thank you. What's going on? Appreciate you. Let me give you these Bible. I'm gonna give you a little story before and give these Bible verses. As you guys know, I wrote a book called From Gigolo to Jesus. And it is simply my memoir to make sure that I put out there what my life was like before actually how I became the man of God, how I became a loving husband, but what that life was like when I was a misogynistic whore. And yes, I was out there something awful. And I was out there making babies and doing all the things that nasty men do. I have no problem talking about it because I'm not that man anymore. I've told you this before. And I got a little surprise I'm going to give you towards the end of the show. And one of the things that I learned when I was out in those streets, if you know how to manipulate conversation, if you know how to communicate certain wants and needs, I don't even know if they're actually needs, it's more wants, and you can converse in a way that the message is across the way that you want it, there's a lot of things that you can get your hands on, if you know what I'm talking about. But when it's all based on a lie, when it's all empty conversation, you feel horrible after getting what it is that you wanted. And no one had ever taught me what's the aftermath of the conquest. What do you do after you done chase these panties and get your hands on them? What do you do when you get them off? Well, I knew what to do when you got them off. The problem is no one taught me what to feel afterwards. No one communicated to me that I was hurting the women that I was with, that I was hurting myself. No one taught me that communication is not supposed to be used to harm. No one taught me that when you use your ability to speak to lower a woman's defenses and then basically trick her into something physical because you act as if you are something that you are not. No one taught me, no one communicated to me that damage flows forward into her future. That you have now made it more difficult for her to date, more difficult for her to trust. You have now made it more difficult for a brother who may have great intentions. All because you didn't know how to communicate who you were, which was a scared little boy at the time. Yeah, I was in a grown man's body, but I was still a scared little boy because little boys do little boy things. Little boys tell big lies and try to hide them in whatever form or fashion. And I think one of the problems that I noticed is that we have a lot of grown men who sound and communicate with grown language, but the essence of their communication is from a little boy's position or disposition. And what prompted me to become a counselor was because I knew what it took for me to transition my life. It took solid communication between my girlfriend, then now wife. It took solid communication between my faith, which I did not have, but I knew of then, but now is an anchor in my life. I don't try to convince anybody to share the faith that I share. I just simply share with them, I communicate with them what my faith is. If this is resonating with you, give me a 1 or a thumbs up in the chat room. JB, you gave me one, I'll gladly take another. Give me a 1 or a thumbs up in the chat room if what I'm saying is resonating with you. And if you want to go as far, put the word communication in the chat room if you like. A 1, a thumbs up, or communication, because that's what we're talking about tonight. Because I had to learn to communicate the way a man is supposed to communicate. Now you go, what is the way a man is supposed to communicate? Yes. He's supposed to be honest, even when he's fearful, even when he's confused, and even when he's sad. His word is supposed to mean something. And his words are supposed to hit not as a fist, but in a way that a person comes away with a full understanding of exactly what they're talking about. I understand how powerful words are now. I'm a grown ass man now. A mature man, an educated man, a learned man, as they say. I'm happily married and I am a man of God. Now, why do I say all that to you? Why do I communicate all that to you? It's because for you to get to that point, that communication is something of virtue. You have to first ground it in something. It has to come from somewhere inside you. Often the reason why we can't communicate what's wrong with us is because we actually don't know how. We don't know how to put into words what we're feeling. We don't know how to describe how the negatives happen. Ladies, because I work mostly with single women. Ladies, often we don't know how to communicate how he got around the defenses. And sometimes we feel horrible about telling the truth, how we let the drawbridge down and he ran on in. I get it. I really do. And the reason why I get it is because that's what I do. When I say crisis specialist, I'm a counselor who deals with people in crisis. That means I am prepared to hear anything. And I am prepared to speak on anything. So I'm okay. I keep my feelings in check. So I have heard it all, from the molestations to the rapes to everything, to the sexual issues, sexual problems, porn addictions. I am that counselor who goes into the dark alleys and communicates that I am good. I'm not here to indulge. I'm here to help. And you cannot go into those environments if you are not comfortable with you. Trust me, you cannot. Because it will be communicated to you quickly. Bruh, this might not be the place for you. Or bruh, this is the place for you. Same words could mean a whole lot of difference. So again, if you put your thumbs up and if you put your ones up inside the chat room, first of all, I want to say thank you. I appreciate that. And again, remember, I'm streaming on multiple platforms, so I may not be able to see all of your comments. So you may be seeing me on Facebook Live. You may be seeing me on Twitter. You may be seeing me on YouTube. I think 3 pages on Facebook, Twitter also. So, and Instagram, I believe. I'm not sure. I forget. I'm here on this the Hatch platform here. But I will go back to check all the comments and I will respond to them. So I appreciate you. But let's continue. So what I want to do is I grabbed 4 verses, right? I grabbed 4 verses for the Bible because I want to show you how the Bible talks about communication. And I think it's important because, again, I think the biggest problem, well, one of the big problems, the church has a lot, but I'm not here to bash the church. I think the problem is when we talk about scripture, too often we project it out. We don't need to do that. Scripture can stand on its own, all by itself. It's okay. But we can use it to formulate conversations. We can use it to indulge ourselves in an understanding that's going to help lift us to a different position in our lives, or at least it should. That's what I'm going to try to do. And that's what I do when I come on my broadcast now, pretty much every other day, maybe 2 days in between. I think the last time I was on was Saturday. I'm not sure. I think it was Saturday. So maybe 2 days, but you'll see me every other day or every 2 days, something like that. And again, I got a surprise for you. I got a special announcement at the end of this broadcast, so stay tuned if you hang out that long with me. All right, so if you got a pen, here we go. Now, you guys know I'm a former educator, so if you have a pen or if your phone, if you want to take out your Lord, why can't I think of the pen in your phone if you want to write with it? So the first one I'm going to give you, and I'm going to read them in the reverse order of how I put them down on my paper. 2 Timothy 2:16. Time to go to church. Y'all ready? Y'all ready to go to church? I'm gonna take you to church. Take it to church. Say, take me to church in the chat room if you want. Or just put a ones up if you don't feel like typing all that. If you really feel like typing, because I know some of y'all are good at it, say, take me to church. If not, just put a 1 in the chat room that you're ready to go. All right? Put a 1 in the chat room. I'm going to give you about 3 seconds. Put a 1 in, or take me to church in the chat room, ready to go. Let me see. Count it down a little bit. All right, let's go. All right, so 2 Timothy 2:16, and I'm reading from the NIV version. And the reason why I choose the NIV version is just easier to read. My Christian brothers and sisters, stop tripping on the versions of the Bible. I have the King James here. I have the NIV. I think I got an NLT round here too. I got a Quran here too. And I got a Torah somewhere in the house as well. So please, this is not the time to start attacking the Bible. We can have that conversation somewhere else because I won't be there. Anyway, 2 Timothy 2:16, reading from the NIV version. Avoid godless chatter, because those who indulge in it will become more and more ungodly. Now check that out a second. Avoid godless chatter, because those who indulge in it will become more and more ungodly. So if a person is out here just wilding out with their words, it's not going to get better. It's actually going to increase towards the negative. So when a person is out here communicating some things that are just ungodly, now, depending on what godly means to you, that is for you to decide what you are listening to. So again, what is being communicated to you? And if it is what you deem ungodly, or what the scripture deems ungodly, now you can take that even if you take the Bible off the table. If some cat is out here just talking trash and talking a whole lot of shit, it's going to get worse. So if you stay there after hearing that foolishness, if you have somebody around you communicating this stupidity and you keep yourself close, you are inviting whatever that fool is inviting to the table to now affect you. And many of us, and I'm a street kid from South Jamaica, Queens, and Brooklyn, New York. And I have seen what happens when you out on the block hanging out with a cat who can't keep his mouth shut, who just keeps on chattering. And you hear some kids will say, yo, he just chatting. And you start to watch and you see the way some folks are moving. And if you don't pay attention to it, if you're not listening, you get caught up in what that person gonna get caught up in. Ain't never been my style. Because I'm not catching no beating for nobody. And so again, you can use that scripture to help you and guide you. And it doesn't have to be out on the street. You could be sitting in your house. Could be a family member who just chat. You might have to leave them alone. Auntie, uncle, mom, dad, sister, brother. Listen, you talking some foolishness. I'm going to go ahead and let you go. I'm good. Second verse we're going to talk about. Proverbs 29:11. All right? Proverbs 29:11. Fools, F-O-O-L-S, fools give full vent to their rage, but the wise bring calm in the end. Fools give vent to their rage, but the wise brings calm in the end. Now that same fool that's out on the block doing all that talking, it's a wise person that comes and shuts it all down. And again, the ability to communicate. That's what we're talking about tonight. And again, if you're watching Keith K.L. Velvet, crisis specialist, author, educator, and a person who wants to try to help other folks. I appreciate you tuning in tonight with me here on my HAPS broadcast. We are talking about the quality, what quality communication is, and why we need quality communication. And I hope that you're gaining something from it. But let's go back to this last verse. We only have two more after this. I'm not going to keep you too long. Fools give full vent to their rage, but the wise bring calm in the end. We have all seen it. We've all seen it. We see it with our children. We see it with neighbors. We see it with kids in school. You will have a whole lot of folks just going back and forth, and it is the wise person. Sometimes it might be a peer. Sometimes it could be a teacher. Sometimes it could be a security guard, police officer. The wise person realizes, let's stop this now before it turns into something negative. And the wise person doesn't use a whole lot of words because he knows at that time they're not necessary. The wise man knows how to communicate, and he knows, she or he knows, I don't want to forget the women. The wise person understands how to get their point across. And you don't need a whole lot of words for that. See, the fool is going to he's going to give in to his anger. He's going to give in to his animalistic, and she's going to give in to her animalistic feelings. The wise person is going to come and put all that out. All right, calm down. We ain't going to let this go nowhere. So again, I want you to hold on to that. And again, the goal is to have you understand about the communication part. And it's very important because it troubles me. It troubled me when I was in school as a dean. And a kid would be so angry that they couldn't get their voice out. And they couldn't explain to me what was wrong. And I would say, son, calm down. Come on, daughters. Sweetheart, calm down. Tell me what happened. And to watch a child go through trying to find words because they can't. And you got to spend 10 or 15 to 20 minutes just to give them verbal cues to get them to calm down. Use soft word, use proximity to be like, okay, breathe. Now explain to me what happened. And then watch them be unable to put the words together to explain what happened. Oh, that used to hurt because my thing is there are people who count on folks, certain folks, especially melanated folks, to not be able to converse in a proper way. There are some people out here who cheer when people can't put words together or sentences together. They get excited about it and it becomes a joke and they can't wait to turn a camera on. No, I got a problem with that. Because if I can't express and if I can't convey to you how I feel, then how can you help me? If I can't convey how I can help somebody, how can I get them to trust that I know what I'm doing? If they can't convey to me what's wrong, how can I help them? And please understand why communication is critical. Please understand why we have to have quality communication. And that's why it comes up in so many forms in the Bible. But let's continue. Number 3, and we're only going 4 tonight. Only going 4. 4 is in Proverbs again, 15:2. First was Timothy 2:16. Second was Proverbs 29:11. The third, and the one I'm talking about right now, is Proverbs 15:2. The tongue of the wise adorns knowledge, but the mouth of fool gushes folly. Let me read that again. The tongue of the wise adorns knowledge, but the mouth of the fool gushes folly. Cap and no cap, as the young kids would say today. And it just means you're talking trash when you hear Cap say no cap. It means I wasn't lying. I wasn't talking trash. Cap just basically means he's talking trash. A person, a wise tongue adorns knowledge. Well, you're supposed to. A wise person is going to speak from a position of knowledge. You're going to know it and understand it, hear it the minute that it touches your ears. But the mouth of a fool gushes folly. Now, all my bowlers, all my bowling family, we have heard fools in the bowling alley run their mouths only to lace them up, get on the lanes, and Lord, they not even close to the trash they talking. But that's basically in every aspect of life. Fools will rush to folly and say whatever, do whatever. Now, let's talk about relationships. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're in a relationship with a fool, they're going to say some things that are not just stupid, hurtful. And they're going to look at you as if they're serious. And a part of you is going to go, I know that well they can't mean that. And I'm gonna be honest with you. The more ignorant they are, yes, they meant it and meant every word. The less intelligent a person is, the more hurtful they are because there is no filter in there. None. No filter. None. Write that down. Put a 1 in the chat room. Let's go with another note. Put a 2 in the chat room. If you understand what I'm talking about and have seen somebody like that they no filter, they will just say things and know, or you feel they know it hurts, and they look at you like, what's wrong with you? And you know why? Because they don't care, because they haven't been taught, they don't let the words get in, but Lord, do they fly out the mouth. That's the folly. And they'll look at you like, what you upset about? Did you hear what you just said? So, I don't care. And they telling you the truth. They really don't. I think it was Maya Angelou who said, when somebody shows you who they really are, believe them. Oh, fantastic orator. Oh my God, I love to hear her speak. Not only was she a fantastic poet, she had a fantastic mind. You could sit and listen to Maya Angelou just break down things all day. I love intellects. I'm a Malcolm X fan. And Maya Angelou was cool with Malcolm X. She actually introduced him to the Middle Eastern kings years ago. She was on the low. She was a rebel on the low. Y'all got to check out Maya Angelou. But I love to sit and listen to sisters and brothers who just get it. Toni Morrison's another one. You listen to Sister Morrison, God bless her, rest in peace. Same thing with Maya Angelou, rest in peace. When you listen to them speak, you get a sense of where it's coming from. And we just lost a brother who was that way too in DMX. If you go back and listen to things that DMX said in interviews and then listen to his music, if you can get through some of the stuff that a lot of people don't like. But if you listen to it, his music reflected his pain, but he was able to communicate that pain in such a way, or his rage or his frustration or his likes or his loves, and he took the filter off himself. It wasn't that there was no filter here. He removed it because he wanted you to feel every piece of what he was saying, because he wanted that out in the world. And he knew that somebody needed to hear it. And he knew he was representing all those who didn't have a voice. That's what good communication and quality communication does. It allows you to speak for other people. Trust me, I understand that because I've had to do it many times myself. I've had to stand in front of the classroom and speak to kids, and then I've had to stand in front of adults and speak for kids. So I'm an ex-fan to no end, because if you listen to them, get past the curse words. If you hung up on curse words, come on now, listen, people gonna curse. And don't give me, oh, I don't like his music. Okay, listen, find the lyrics, read them, and you will see they read in such a way that the man is communicating to a part of your spirit that if you've ever been in an environment where people just take from you, or people hurt you, or people don't care, X spoke to that. That's why you see the reaction that you see to so many people. So again, 2 Timothy 2:16, Proverbs 29:11, Proverbs 15:2, and now the last one. One of my favorites when it comes to communication. 1 Corinthians 15:33, very famous one, you should know it, but if not, one of my favorites. Don't be misled. Now, depending on which Bible that you read, this comes in a couple different ways, but I'm going to give it this way, and I'm going to tell you the way that I like it. Don't be misled. Bad company corrupts good character. That's the NIV version. But the version that I like is, don't be fooled. Bad communication corrupts good manners. Bad communication corrupts good manners. And I'm going to tell you why that stands out to me. When you allow anyone to pipe into your ear foolishness, you start to change. That is the birds of a feather type verse. Hang out with people who are spitting negative things around you, and you are absorbing that, your character and who you are starts to change. You start to morph into the very thing that you are accepting. Now, you may go, but I'm not doing what they're doing. But you're quietly co-signing. I wasn't sleeping with those chicks, but you weren't trying to prevent your boys from doing it. I wasn't sleeping with those dudes, but you was giving your girls high fives when they was getting it in. So your character was slowly changing because of the communication that you was allowing to enter into you from whatever source you was allowing. One of my favorites, because it is a way to remind you, be careful who you keep around you. Be careful what you allow inside here. And the Lord tells you to protect your eye and ear gates. Many of us don't take that to task. So, guys, I wanna start to bring this to a close this way. We live in a time where information is coming in so many facets. I have an iPad here, my phone here, my computer here, and I didn't get a chance to look at the computer. I see that there's some messages there. So shout out to all you guys who are checking in on Facebook. I'll go back and read all the messages. Shout out to you guys who is checking me out here on the Haps app. And anywhere that you're watching me, I appreciate you. But I wanted to make sure that I started to be consistent in showing up, because in all these social media platforms, I'm no longer asking, why don't people do, I'm not doing that. I am going to just show up and, like Gandhi said, be the light that I want to see in the world. I just got comfortable with Clubhouse. I'm starting to make connections to folks on Clubhouse to build my business. I am building a practice, a private practice, a counseling practice. I am counseling folks every day. I take off on Sundays and half of Mondays or whatever just to relax and hang out with the family. But I am building the things that I want to see in the world because somebody has to help single women, couples, and some children. That's what I do. I'm not taking on as many children anymore because I'm saving spaces for the single women that I work with as well as the couples. And if you don't know a little bit about me, I'll give you a little bit about me before I get ready to close this thing out. I have 2 master's degrees, one in education, one in human service counseling. So I have the education in counseling. I have a bachelor's degree and I have an associate's degree. A bachelor's degree in physical education, I have an associate's degree in business. I have 20 years in the 20 plus years in New York City school system. I have 7 children with 6 different women. Yeah, I said that. I told you I was a whore. Come on, don't be shy. I was. For 37 years, I lived my life all about sex and panties until God spoke to me, till God communicated with me. And between God and my wife, I was able to find my way back to me. And like I said, from girlfriend to wife. They held a spot for me, and I got there and I was able to take my spot, and then I was able to reclaim what I was supposed to be, and now I'm good and I'm here. And so what I do with my business is to make it a habit to communicate in a way that lets the women know that they're protected, brothers know that they got somebody to talk to, and couples know that you can fix anything. Why? Because in that 37 years before I got myself together, I got caught cheating 3 times. I didn't say I was cheating 3 times. I said I got caught 3 times. There's a difference. But we was able to put all that behind us to be able to have something special because we've actually been together 21 years, married 14. So in those first 7, yeah, do the math. And before you go, 7 kids with 6 different women, 1 child in the last 20 years. You do the math. 1 woman, 1 child. You can judge me any way that you choose. I have no problem. My job is to try to save as many lives as I can until I close my eyes. This is my ministry. This is how I give back to the Lord. Now, that surprise that I was telling you about. Next week, I'm going to start a series of videos, probably on Zoom. I don't know if I'm going to use my HAPS platform. I have to see how many people I can add. But next week, I will be on with my sons. I have 4 sons, 3 daughters, and I will tell you the story about them at another time. But I will be on each night with a different son, having conversations. But here's the special part. One of those 4 nights, I'll be on with 1 son, 2nd son, 3rd son, and I will be on with my oldest daughter. My daughter and I have a very tumultuous relationship. We'll have had. And we have not been the best of friends, and I know at a time she was not extremely happy with me, and I am repairing that. But my daughter and I are going to do a video. We're going to sit down and talk live because I am a grandfather. I have not met my grandson yet. And we're going to talk in public and have a conversation. And we're going to talk about what being a young mother is like, what the daddy-daughter issues can look like from the daughter's point of view. And we're doing it because we want to help other people. We're doing it because it's going to help us. We're doing it because part of what you hear me say all the time is we can fix this. So I am working to all my children. Now, here's the crazy part, is I do have another daughter. Her mother does not want to own the fact that I am the father. When she found out that I was her father, she closed the door. Didn't want to have anything to do with me. I pray for her every night. But before I close these eyes, me and her are going to have a conversation so she can hear from me what that was like when she's ready. But I don't force it. And my oldest son, same thing. I'm going to reach out to him and see if I can get him to come back to the fold. We can have a conversation too. Because I'm going to have other shows to explain to you men that when you create a bunch of babies, the thing that you cannot be, even if you turn out to be the greatest pops on the planet, is you do not have enough time to be a good dad to all of them. You can be an okay dad to all of them, but you can't be a great dad because you don't have enough time. And unless they're all living right on top of each other, it's impossible. And many of us men don't learn that until we get older. So ladies, I apologize for some of these men who don't know well enough to apologize for maneuvering you into position. And some of you ladies got to take the heat too. You knew some of these guys weren't no good. when you got with them. So that's a whole nother show for another night. But that's next week. I'm working out the times now. We're going to set up some time. I believe that I'm going to try to stream it from here so we can be on multiple platforms. If not, it will be on Zoom, and then I will put it live on my Facebook page, Keith K.L. Belvin, so you can come join me over there, as well as you should join me here on Haps. So as I shut this down for the night, I want to say this about communication. Communication is something that needs to be practiced. Communication is something that has to be respected. Communication is affected by the knowledge that you have or the lack thereof, as you see from the scriptures tonight. And I want to give you the 4 scriptures again if you want to go back and read them for yourself. It was 2 Timothy 2:16, Proverbs 29:11, Proverbs 15:2, 1 Corinthians 15:33. Now, before you go, I would like to tell you to do this for me. You should have liked this post already. You should have shared this post already. But if you haven't, please do so. And here's what I want you to do right now. Right now, before you jump off, before you end, if you were here with me after the 30-something minutes, one, I appreciate you wholeheartedly. I want you to tag somebody right now. I want you to tag somebody who you think needs to hear this show about communication right now. And if they reach out, I'll talk to them. I'll communicate with them. I want you to tag somebody right now, and I want you to introduce them to me. Because I want to be able to meet as many people as I can, and I need your help to do that. And if they show up, I'll take care of them. And if anybody watching needs private counseling, if you need and want to talk to me, if you're like, Keith, I really want to set something up, bravenconsultant.com, bravenconsultants.com, bravenconsultants.com. And if you want to read my book, From Gigolo to Jesus, as you see back there on the wall back there, that is the cover back there. You can go right here to this website right here. If you can see it, that's bravenpublishing.com. That's where all my books are. And if you're not sure, if you're like, whoa, that's just way too much information, just inbox me. Tell me what you need. I got you. I'm here to serve. I'm here to give value. So the last thing, if you have gotten value from this show tonight, put a V. Oh, it's this way, right? Put a V for value in the chat room. Do that for me right now. Put a V in the chat room. And if you're watching on replay, thank you. If you're watching live, thank you. I will go to the various sites and I will make sure that I respond to your comments. But put a V in the chat room for me. But let me know that you got some type of value from what I said tonight. I'm going to check myself out. I am Keith K.L. Belvin, crisis specialist and counselor, author and educator. More importantly, I am a loving father, loving husband, man of God, and I'm here to serve. Just reach out and I will communicate what I do, how I do it, who I do it for, and why I do it. All right? Take care. God bless, guys. Take it easy. Have a good night.